We're going to move to part 3 of our interview here with Jerry Rickrode and Brian Gryboski. We're talking Wilkes University, the Hall of Fame for Jerry Rickrode here in 2024. Brian, if you could take a couple things that you've taken with you your whole life from Coach Rickrode, you know, as a coach, as a person, as a man, what were some things that maybe stuck with you that you try to use still today?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest was the fact that he was loyal to his players, was always there if he needed something. He typically knew our grades before we knew our grades, so academics were really, really important in addition to athletics. I think that's one. I think the other two, and we've talked about it throughout this entire interview, is just the level of toughness, the work ethic. Nothing ever came easy. There were no entitlements. You stepped out on the floor, it was going to be a battle. Nobody had a guaranteed position. And I think when you get out in the real world now, after school, you realize that it's a tough world out there and nothing's going to be given you. And I think at times, unfortunately, that mindset is lost. I'm thankful that I was raised in a house where that was instilled in me. And I'm also appreciative that when I came to play college basketball as a student athlete, Coach Rickrode continued that push that I had as a kid growing up. So those are two things that I think if you have those characteristics, you'll be successful in life no matter what it is you choose to do.
I think it's fair to say Brian Gryboski kind of had that X factor of a little bit of an intimidation. When he stepped on the floor, you knew that at least somebody was, they're going to know the presence of Wilkes when he hit the floor. There are other guys here on this that went through this Wilkes program, that toughness or element of, hey, you're going to get it. You come down low, you're going to get it. But it was a presence.
Yeah, you know, and that's stuff that's you don't teach. That's ingrained in a person. And you know, you could do little things like there would be little times that I could walk up to Brian and I'd say certain things that I knew would get him irritated or upset or want to, you know, play a little harder. But I really never really had to coach the toughness with, like, you know, guys like him and Dave Januzzi and those kind of guys, that the local names, the Jay Williams and those guys, that they just were blue collar, wanted to win every drill at practice, wanted to win every game, didn't celebrate. We always talked about as a team, when the buzzer goes off, walk, turn to left or right, shake hands, and save the celebration for the locker room. Now, sometimes that went awry if it was a huge game, but that's what we believed in, and then enjoy that for the night, and then you have to move on the next day. And if you have that attitude, I think you can continue to be successful. If you revel in stuff for too long and think about what happened and enjoy that, you got to move on to the next day. And these guys were really good at that.
I'll throw a couple questions at you guys, kind of similar. Brian, for you, think about, was there like a scrappy guy that you played with here at Wilkes that, you know, thought, man, this guy's getting a lot out of his body, maybe not the most athletic, but was you know, tough in practice or a game, or made key shots?
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of players I can think of just throughout my 4 years here. In my freshman year, I had the opportunity to play with Dave Macedo, who coaches down at Virginia Wesleyan. Super scrappy guy. And I credit a lot of my toughness to him because he was a great leader for me as a freshman. When I came in and you're coming out of high school and you were the man in high school, and now you walk on campus and you're kind of a nobody, Dave kind of did a really nice job of kind of teaching me the ropes. He'd be one. Another would be, again, freshman year, Jason Turner, Division I transfer, super tough kid, great kid. Kind of took me under his wing as a guy. When coach said, hey, I want you to play inside, that'd be another. Another kid, Bill Gallagher. Bill was my grade, but you know, he didn't play a ton, but he was a guy at practice that was an absolute warrior. He was like 6'8", and he'd come to battle every day. If you weren't ready to play, he'd send you a wake-up call. So, I mean, I can go on and on. Dave Januzzi, you got Jay Williams, guys just really, really scrappy. Like I said, it was a war every time you stepped on the court for a game. It was a war every time you stepped on the court for a practice session.
Jerry, for you, obviously you could pick off 20 names, but you know, think about a couple of guys that, you know, a recruit that you felt, boy, this guy's going to be a key, or, you know, when Januzzi stepped on campus, was that an easy sell for him? Hey, Wilkes is the only school I'm looking at, or were there some others in mind for him?
Well, for him, I mean, he had some higher level people talking to him, and there were some expectations there. His father went here, you know, so that didn't hurt. And the fact that a lot of these guys like to stay local, and especially since they were seeing some of the atmosphere that we had. Why go someplace else if you can get it right here? My first year we brought in Dave Macedo and Chris Parker. They were really my first two recruits that ended up for 4 years being great players. Those guys were really good building blocks for the program, along with Matt Labuda, who was already here. He was the only guy that I kind of inherited. And Matt wasn't near the player he was 3 years later. But he persevered in injury, and he came back, and then he became an All-American. Jason Turner comes in as a Division I transfer, like Brian said, and he came in and had no ego and kind of just bought in, and they made up a great class. And then you move into the guys like, the Dave Januzzis and the Chad Fabians, who were a great backcourt together. Brian and Scott came in right before them. Again, just it snowballed. You got the Dave Plisco, you got a lot of these local guys that, Mike Baruch was a great player for us, all these local guys that, they brought people into the games too, because people wanted to come see them play. So I enjoyed coaching so many of these guys. It's hard for me to and I don't want to miss names, but the fact that now to this day, we're a constant text exchange and stuff like that, that is special. The MAC Hall of Fame thing was humbling. I wasn't even thinking about that. We're not even in the MAC anymore, right. Wilkes. But, as I said when they asked me about making that, I said, well, any success that I had as a coach is a direct reflection of the players that were in the program. So,
Brian, for you, what's it feel like to hear something deserving for Coach Rickrode to get into the MAC Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I think it's well deserved. Like I said, the 4 years I played as a college student here, played basketball, probably the best 4 years of my life. The memories, you can't replace those. You always sit there, and as you get older, you say, I'm never going to be one of those people that talks about stuff in the past. But there's probably not a weekend that doesn't go by that we talk about one of the battles we had, and we owe that all to Coach Rickrode. And like I said, he was one of the guys that was able to keep that local group together. And the three of the guys that I played with here, we played together at St. Nick's, St. Mary's, Bishop Hoban, and then here, and we owe that all to him. This guy was at legitimately pretty much every one of my games as a senior, or had somebody there, and it wasn't just me. He did that for all the people he wanted. So yes, it's a very well-deserved honor, and I don't think there's anybody out there that deserves it more than he does.
The get-togethers, you guys do it, your text exchanges, all that stuff, but is there a next get-together coming up here for this Wilkes University basketball family, or is there one coming that you're going to arrange here?
We have them sporadically, you'll see me at his place this summer. Once we had a great time last year there. We actually went down and hit the weight room at midnight, which we did kind of sometimes when we played. We go to the weight room before the game. So these guys keep you young, they keep you fresh. I don't know if the school just honored the Final Four team last year, and we had a pretty good gathering for that. And I still get to see these guys. I got to see these guys. They've broken my bank because not only with the weddings, which I go to their weddings.
Sure.
Now they have kids, and some of their kids have graduation parties.
Sure.
It's really neat. It's interesting. I can't believe this much time has gone by. But I always felt, and I feel like this in the profession I'm in now, and I know Brian feels like this. To be successful at something, and I thought at Wilkes you needed to be in this mentality, you have to outwork everybody. If you outwork everybody, you give yourself a chance. And maybe that would cut some years off of my life or take away from my family time and stuff, but I just felt that was necessary to be successful.
And I do have to add one thing on that, because this is worth mentioning in this interview. I think back to senior year, we play against Lebanon Valley. No one's expecting us to win this game. They got Andy Panko, who played overseas for 20 years professionally. And we're at their gym. We've got a little bit of time before we're going to take the floor. We're down in the weight room. He loosens his tie up. He has 315 on the flat bench, lays back and putting up reps. And I think I went, maybe Bill went.
Yeah.
And somebody from LVC is walking by, and I overhear them. They're like, "What the hell is going on in there?" Like, we're screwed, and we ended up winning the game somewhat convincingly.
Yeah.
And that's a true story.
Yeah,
I'm not. Story.
By the way, I'm not benching 315.
Wow, the intimidation factor.
That was a true story, and I remember after the game, Brian said, "We won that game before we even stepped on the floor."
That's great.
I mean,
Gentlemen, again, great to catch up, talk a little Wilkes University basketball, the past. Brian, I appreciate your time coming out today. And Jerry, congratulations on the Hall of Fame nomination here in 2024.
Thank you very much, John.
Appreciate it, John. Thanks for everything you do for local sports.